Indian voter has spoken, and for the first time in 30 years, the message is loud and clear. Narendra Modi will be India's first Prime Minister outside the Nehru-Gandhi family to lead the nation with a simple majority. Good evening. Thanks very much for joining us on our special coverage of what has been a historic day for India. I'm Shireen Bhan. A centre-right government is in power with a strong mandate. What does this mean for India and for the Indian economy? Does a stable government mean faster growth? To discuss all of that and more, we're now joined by a special panel of experts. Pawan Goenka of Mahindra & Mahindra joins us in Mumbai. Diane Farrell, Executive Chairman of the United States India Business Council of the USIBC, joins us live from Washington. Siddharth Birla, President of FICCI, with us here in the studio. Shobhit Majumdar, President-Designate of the Confederation of Indian Industry. Mohandas Pai of the Manipal University and former Infosys board member with me in the studio, along with Vinayak Chatterjee of Feedback Infra. Shobna Bharti of the Hindustan Times also joins us. We'll also be joined by Arvind Panigria in just a bit, and former Goldman Sachs Chairman Jim O'Neill is on the phone line from New York. Well, that star panel with us, thank you very much for joining us. Let me start by getting in quick comments here from Delhi. Vinayak Chatterjee, you know, the victory is over. We know who the Prime Minister is going to be. We don't know what the cabinet is going to look like. But in terms of immediate action points, 100-day agenda, budget agenda, what would you like to see?
See, the immediate action point that we'd like to see is really the formation and the constitution of the cabinet, because that's the first signal that corporate India is looking forward to.
What are you hoping for? And does it really matter at the end of the day? You wanted Narendra Modi, you got Narendra Modi. Now you want credible cabinet as well.
Of course. I think that's a legitimate expectation, that we have people who also share the vision, have managerial and administrative acumen, and are not hostage to coalition politics. Thankfully, we don't.
There is no question of being
That's what I'm saying.
So since
you don't have that millstone hanging around your neck that you have to distribute ministries to coalition partners, you can choose the best person for the job. And honestly, we are looking forward, because the first major signal is cabinet formation. So let's get over that first.
Mohandas Pai, does corporate India, is it ever satisfied? You know, you wanted Narendra Modi, you've got Narendra Modi, now you want the best possible cabinet. What are your expectations as far as cabinet formation is concerned? And because they don't have coalition pulls and pressures to deal with, do you believe that we could see some bold out-of-the-box thinking in terms of getting in technocrats, which is what the market is hoping for in places like North Block?
Well, I would think, first of all, there'll be a small cabinet, because Modi is known for having small cabinet. And
Will he start with downsizing, reorganizing? Do you think that's a bit too much to
I think he'll have a lesser number of people and downsize for a period of time, because you need to study the ministries and you can't do it overnight. And second, I think he'll get in some good technocrats to help him, maybe in a ministerial position, maybe as the Minister of Finance, maybe a Bimal Jalan, maybe somebody else, so that people get confidence. The key thing is the market does not have confidence in the government.
But in cabinet, you think, oh, he'll set up some sort of a committee, etc.?
No, he'll not set up a committee. He'll get good people to run those ministries, because he wants honest, good people to carry on whatever needs to be done as per his agenda. I think that's a very important thing, like Vinayak said. But then, if you look at his manifesto, he has said he's going to debug the entire process.
Yeah, everything held up. Governance, minimum government.
Yes, and everything in the system which has been stuck up is going to debug it, release it in the first 1 month, and then have a good budget, hopefully.
Easier said than done. You know, debug everything in the next 1 month, Siddharth Birla, easier said than done.
Easier said than done, but I think well begun is half done. So, I think cabinet is, of course, one part, but I wouldn't call it the crucial part, because let's take that as a given. And yes, he will have to make do probably with less people. As was mentioned, I don't think we can merge ministries and start mixing up and playing around. But there is a case to bring some ministries with a common thread under a common minister.
So oil, gas, coal, power, that is the big hope at this point in time, that perhaps they could all be clubbed together. Do you believe that he will go down that route?
No, I would think that, you know, if you pick up by topics, say energy and say infrastructure, say perhaps extending the thing that's mining and steel, those kind of things. Another thing which I think he'll really have to hit the ground running is to address the problems of the people, like across the country, because we are heading into this summer season, monsoon, with the possibility. I think anything that can be done to mitigate inflation, or at least show that the government is sensitive to and is acting. And I think he does have a model in mind, which is like using real-time data to try and make sure that the supply side is managed. And I think that is something that might really give a positive signal to the people.
Mr. Majumdar, I know budget wish lists are already going to be drawn up by industry chambers like FICCI and CII. What is going to be the #1 item as far as your budget wish list is concerned?
You know, they couldn't be number one. There's so many things that needs
prioritize. Industry has to learn to prioritize.
You know, but I
well.
want to go back to something you said about 90 days. I don't think we should expect something in 90 days. The cabinet formation, as Vinayak said, you know, it has to be people who can get the thing done. Whether it's bureaucrats, technocrats, ministers. But we must know who are the people that are going to get things done.
Yeah, obviously you will.
Yeah, because even in a corporate, you have the chairman, managing director.
Sure.
But then you look at who are the people who are running it. So it can't be one man who's going to get it done. So that becomes very critical. And the other aspect which everybody's touched on is, I think this is very important, that for things to move, as we've got experienced from the past, the ministries must be collapsed. Because if two ministries have the same purpose, but then you have to go to two ministries for clearances, it affects the whole process.
Well, that is the hope that perhaps in the medium to long term we are going to see him address that. But in the short term, in the immediate term, give me your number one priority that you would like to see him act on.
The right
tangible stuff.
The selection of the right people.
Selection of the right people. Shobna Bhartiya, let me bring you in on this conversation. The gentlemen here are now hoping for a credible, good cabinet at the centre. You know, Narendra Modi is a man who's pretty much run the Gujarat government by himself. People like Saurabh Patel in the Gujarat cabinet have had half a dozen portfolios under them. Do you believe that the Prime Minister's office in that sense is going to be running things? So we're going to go from one extreme, which was in the PMO under the UPA, had virtually no powers, and perhaps now we're going to see the super PMO emerge.
I definitely think, Shireen, that he will go in for a lot of centralization of power in the PMO. We saw that when Atal Bihari Vajpayee was the Prime Minister, where the role of the NSA and the Principal Secretary, along with the Prime Minister, was of critical importance. So UPA drifted away from that, but I think once again you will see concentration of power, because if Narendra Modi has to deliver, he has to ensure that he has that final say, that he can sort of micromanage things at least to begin with. But when we were talking about cabinet formation, undoubtedly he'll try and bring in the most appropriate person for each portfolio. But we are overlooking one thing, that whereas the BJP has got an absolute majority on its own, and therefore we believe that they can pick and choose, but they do not have the numbers in the Rajya Sabha. In the Rajya Sabha, they are way short of a majority, and we all know the importance of getting bills passed. They have to go through the Rajya Sabha. And there the BJP is going to be extremely dependent on its allies, who've actually got a disproportionately small numbers, like whether it's Shiv Sena or the other allies. So they will have to give certain important portfolios to these allies, because they can't get legislation through otherwise. We saw how a lot of legislation was held up even under the UPA, because they never had the numbers in the Rajya Sabha. So